It's happening, dude. I'm getting too invested in the idea of being a chef. Tonight I made a normal ass pedestrian spam and egg sandwich, and after I ate it and cleaned up the kitchen, I looked back at my cooking area, nodded and smiled to myself, and clicked the light off like, job well done. I made a fucking sandwich. I didn't even do the over easy egg right. I flipped it poorly and the yolk started running when I put it on the spam. Gordon Ramsay would have bent my ass over and harpooned it with a meat thermometer. But at least that thermometer would have said I was raw. Yes, sir. I've been watching Kitchen Nightmares where he goes around and helps struggling restaurants get back on track, and it's changed my perspective on a few things. Previously, if you asked me, I would have been embarrassed about the idea of being a customer in a restaurant and sending back food that wasn't good. Like, oh no, was the little princess's steak not perfectly tuned to her specifications? Is the entitled douchebag throwing a hissy fit over a little extra salt on his appetizer? I viewed those people with contempt. Like, who do you think you are, paying money for food and expecting it to be good? Now I get this view behind the scenes of some of what might be going on to have created that food, and I'm like, oh my god, send that shit back right now. There's still nuances to it. Like, you should be nice at least and not get offended or throw a tantrum, but especially if it's something you've ordered before and you know what it should be like, if you get something subpar, you should make that known, not just so you can potentially have it better the way you deserve as a patron of our restaurant, but so the chef knows he fucked up. Chefs with any pride or passion for the game do not want to serve you subpar shit. If these people are in the kitchen getting caught lacking, maybe they need that cold splash of water in the face to wake up and be like, oh damn, I need to get my head back in the game. Because that's a dude working hours at a time on hundreds of dishes throughout the day, and if they get lulled into a funk where they stop paying close attention, they could lose new customers with the lazy food they're putting out for that stretch of time. That could be someone's first impression of their restaurant, and it won't inspire a revisit. The sooner someone goes, this dish was ass, the sooner a problem is identified and a solution can be put in place. And if the replacement dish is up to good standards, that chef might have saved a customer who otherwise would have just quietly ate disappointing food and resolved to take their business elsewhere. It is objectively better for the restaurant if you are honest with your experience as a customer. And some people go, oh, you think you know food better than the chef that cooked it? Dude, some of these chefs in these restaurants are so lost, cast adrift on a wooden plank, struggling to keep their heads above water, or stubborn, cocky, delusional pieces of work who haven't seen reality in years. The majority of these owners and chefs on Kitchen Nightmares legitimately think their food is good. No matter how many customer complaints they get hit with, the other staff will agree it's not good. Gordon Ramsay himself will come sample the menu and spit the fucking meatball out, and the owner's still like, well, maybe he just didn't know good southern cooking. Bro, you're serving frozen food. Some of them, it's literally just store-bought frozen food they repurpose for their dishes. It's days-old ingredients that are about to turn, and they still have the gall to be indignant about their methods. It's almost like hoarders. Any outside eye can see the absolute fucking mess you live in, but some people just exist in a fog of self-assured fantasy. Customers don't need to be graduates from culinary school to have an opinion on how something tastes, especially if they're being served literal slop, to use that word closer to its intended definition. They should, however, be cognizant of their own tastes. Like, if you know you don't like shrimp, and you go to a restaurant and order shrimp, and you don't like the shrimp, congratulations, you're retarded. You make self-defeating choices that end badly for you and inconvenience others. Now, if you want to make sure you don't like shrimp by trying what you've heard to be the best shrimp, that's another thing. Experiment all you like. Personally, I don't like to gamble on meals that I'm paying for because if I end up not liking something, I feel like I wasted my money and I sink into a deep momentary depression, but you do you. Another reason the food might be bad one time is if one of the lesser cooks stepped in and covered a meal while the main chef was busy, in which case it's important to relay the quality of the dish back so they can teach that cook how to do it right next time. It's like every possible reason you could think of to hold your tongue on being served bad food is actually just harmful to the restaurant that your politeness or empathy or good nature would otherwise choose for their benefit. I think that sentence almost makes sense. You don't want to be rude or picky or a bother for the good of the restaurant, you tell yourself, but the restaurant needs your criticism to function accurately, and it wants you to want to come back. This is why I imagine all Canadian restaurants to be horrendous, because everyone there is too polite to send anything back. They're throwing up at the table, and the server's like, how's the food, eh? And they're like, oh, it's great. I'm just bulimic and thought I'd get started early. Continues puking guts out. Sorry if I'm making you guys look bad. I'll leave a 5-star review. This is a humongous pivot, but I just got on Twitter and saw the Druski allegations, and I just want to say like one or two things about it, because I think it's unique. If you don't know who Druski is, get in line. Apparently he does sketch comedy and associates with a lot of musicians by doing collabs on their music videos. I think the only time I ever saw him was like in a Kai Cenat stream clip. Basically just seems like a guy who is everywhere, and that's just what's happening now. But he has been named in a Diddy lawsuit as an alleged rapist and slip and slider. More context needed? Alright. So you know how P. Diddy, who's had like 5 different names nobody respects or ever used, have those famous celebrity sex parties where it's alleged that a bunch of illegal debauchery and sex crimes and whatnot took place that like everyone who's anyone is possibly implicated in? Well, this lawsuit says Druski went to one in 2018 and sexually assaulted a woman while Diddy watched and recorded it while jerking. The part that colors this situation differently is this section of the lawsuit, which reads like this verbatim. Instead of immediately raping plaintiff, defendant Druski doused plaintiff with more oil/lubricant and then jumped on top of plaintiff's naked and oiled body, treating it like a slip and slide and knocking the wind out of plaintiff due to his enormous size. Just had to throw a fat joke in there. Even lawsuits have no chill, huh? So that's insane, right? Picture jumping on someone's stomach and slipping on it like a banana peel, and then the very next thing you do is assault her. What's worse, being the victim of rape or the victim of physical comedy? Because that impact had to hurt something fierce. Again, this is all alleged and maybe even blatant bullshit based on the community response to these allegations. Like, it feels safer to joke about because that's what literally everyone else is doing. If it ends up being true, though, then that's obviously horrendous. Druski put out a statement denying it, saying he wasn't famous in 2018 when the alleged events took place, implying he wouldn't have even been invited to a Diddy party, and the community is understandably fixated on the visual that accompanies the allegation. It's really interesting. Like, based on this response, if someone wanted to get away with rape, or at least have the public on their side during the proceedings, it seems like the best way to do it would be to do something wacky right before or after it, because if a lawsuit has to describe it in detail, it just makes the whole thing sound ridiculous. If the lawsuit has to be like, instead of immediately assaulting the plaintiff, the defendant attempted a backflip and crashed into the closet door, breaking it before getting back up to perform the illegal act with 2 broken toes. Half the audience is checked out. They're just giggling. It's all memes from here. You will not reach them until the conviction. And anyone taking it seriously has their replies full of people like, you actually think this motherfucker slip and slided on a chick's oiled up body? Are you listening to yourself? Like, it's a good distraction, is all I'm saying. And to me, that's the interesting part, that you can influence public perception of a horrible alleged crime just by being a little goofy with it. But yeah, people are saying it's fake. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Also, I just saw a clip of Druski admitting that he has been to a Diddy party, at least, maybe a later one, and he's collaborated with him before, for what it's worth. I just thought that was weird enough to talk about alongside my food jokes. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Watch all my other videos and give compliments to the chef, and I'll see you guys next time.